All right, we'll welcome everyone to the April 20th uh second public hearing session on on the budget. We have an agenda that we're going to touch on a couple of topics for today. Continuing on what we did from last week, in the sense of we'll do a quick intro, but the main thing is reviewing the significant budget changes that we've had in the public safety, which is sections 12 through 15, and then the public projects and services, which is sections 16 to 18, and then the capital improvement program, which is section 19. So, doesn't sound like a lot, but these are dense topics and areas, and so looking forward to digging in. And ready when if we scroll down, that'll show the agenda. Um, I'll turn it over to maybe is it you Deputy Director, Deputy Town Manager Barnes or John to sort of start us off on in terms of if there's any introduction that we need, or we can jump right into section 12 as well.
Yes. So good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I'm going to kind of get us started. And without objection, Mr. Mayor, I would ask if we can actually jump into section 19 first, the CIP. I think it would probably be good to go through that while everyone's fresh. And there's
Are you saying we're going to fade down the stretch? You don't have faith in
it? There's a lot of information here, and I think that it may benefit everyone if we go through CIP first, and then we would go to public safety, and then public projects and services.
No objection. That makes sense. Let's do that.
So I just want to talk a little bit about some format and things of that nature. So as it relates to the budget book, so as is typical, we make adjustments in that throughout this process. And so we made some of those. So the online version, if you have not inserted your paper, the updated paper copies into your book, then some narrative and that will be different. The numbers in terms of budgeted amounts did not change, but some formatting and some text have been updated. So if we say something and it's different from what's in your printed copy, that's the reason. I also wanted to point out that this year we have a updated format for CIP. And so Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith and the rest of the team looked at some examples that GFOA puts out to make it more understandable in terms of what's happening with projects. And so you will see a new format. Essentially, there's a project narrative. There's a estimated total cost. Then there's a fiscal 2027 cost, and then a completion date when we believe we'll have the project completed. And then there's a banner at the bottom that will show, and it varies if it's an acquisition versus a project, but it shows a progression. So if there's a green check, that means we are to that portion. Also in the budget book is a guide. It's a good time to mention that. There's a guide for how to navigate the CIP pages. So at the very beginning of the CIP section is a summary. Mr. Jones is going to go through that summary and then walk us through the projects. I think it would probably be best if we go through at least all the new projects and then the existing projects separately and acquisitions, And then as Mr. Jones works through a section, then perhaps take questions um, in blocks like that instead of on each individual project. Um, and then if there are questions about projects like where are we specifically on a project, we can always add those sorts of questions uh, to the work session next week if that works for you, Mr. Mayor. And that
Okay.
way we can focus on the budget aspects of it. Um, I did want to talk about two aspects of the CIP. So at one point, we're going to get to the project on streets and sidewalks. The town has not made a recommendation yet to the mayor and council on what those streets and sidewalks will be. We will do that. We were shooting for the end of April. It's going to be sometime in May that we bring that to you all for our next group of street and sidewalk projects. And that follows a town-wide assessment that was just done by our vendor. We have that information. We're now working with the engineer, and we're going to come back with recommendations on which streets need work and which sidewalks need work, and that's separate from the budget. So you'll see how much money we're recommending to be put in, but not the recommended projects yet, the individual projects. So I wanted to point that out. And there's some emails as well about a lighting project that was proposed in Madison Hill. And I just wanted to touch on that. That's not being addressed tonight either. We are working with Pepco because the town does not own the lights in that community. Pepco does. And we have yet to determine if this is going to be a small project, and by small, under $30,000, or if it's going to be a wholesale replacement of the lighting system, in which case we could be talking about $600,000. So we have a lot more work to do with Pepco before we can lay out plans for what a solution to concerns looks like. And so I just wanted to let you know we're working on that. We don't have answers at this point. So any questions on that, Mr. Mayor, or members of council?
No questions for me. I think it makes sense. And I appreciate the sort of overview in terms of the different types of projects. Um, and then I think it makes sense if there are particular questions or follow-ups that we'll need, we can add that into the work session for next week. If it's outside of like budgetary stuff. And I'm sure there'll be a couple of things that come up, so that makes sense.
And thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. The last thing I will say is that on these project sheets, you will notice numbers. I believe they run from 101 to 107, and that's the category of the project. And so if you're wondering how much are we really putting towards walk, bike, drive, you would look at all the projects that have that code number. And that gives you an understanding of how much is in walk, bike, drive, how much is in infrastructure, how much is in community, et cetera. And with that, I'm going to ask Deputy Director Jones to walk us all through the budget or the summary of the CIP. And Mr. Jones is joining us remotely this evening. Mr. Jones.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, I think we can start at the CIP revenue page, um, page 226. Yeah, perfect. So some of the things I want to speak about on this page are the revenue sources that we have for fiscal year 27. So the first is going to be State of Maryland Highway User Funds, an amount of 349,576. Cable franchise PEG capital funds, we have $20,000 there. Grant revenue, this number has been updated to more accurately reflect some of the grants that were awarded between last meeting and this meeting. So that number is now at $1,693,714. We have the walk bike drive tax revenue of 351,000. Then we're transferring money from the general fund. 200,000 of that will be used for grant matches, but the total is 1,498,000. And then we have sale of vehicles at $10,000. Um, the next page is the capital expenditures. So these are just the list of projects. We have them categorized as Town Manager Letitia mentioned. Um, Infrastructure and stormwater, community development. We have facilities, information technology slash digital infrastructure, fleet and equipment, parks and recreations, and last is the walk, bike, drive safety initiative. So these are just a list of all the projects that we have, and the estimated expenditure that we will have for fiscal year 27. If we move down, we'll cover each of these projects. So I don't want to spend too much time here on these, on this sheet, as we're going to go through. The next page we have is the how to read the CIP. So we have included a guide in here because the format has changed. So we have the project name and the number, the categories, as we mentioned earlier, going from 101 to 107. Each page will include the location, the project manager. We have a project description, and then we'll have the total cost of the project estimate, and then the estimated fiscal year 27 costs, and a projected completion date. So I will move ahead with the first new project on page 230.
Deputy Director Jones, real quick, what in terms of the numbering system, is the first number the fiscal year in which it was first started?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
so all of the new projects will have the 27, and
yep.
then PD being the department, and then that's the first project from that department. So there we have, the 27 PD01, which is the APX N70 portable police radios. So for this particular project, we have a total estimated cost of 414,000. Um, an estimated fiscal year 27 cost at this point is just 39,000. We are expected to get a grant for this project. Uh, I believe the end of June, we should hear back to know if we are awarded that. But because, we couldn't put the estimated cost for fiscal 27 because we haven't yet been awarded that grant, but the fiscal year 27 estimated cost of 39,000 will more than likely be the total estimated cost as we hope to have this project completed in fiscal year 27. And at this point, we are at the method and process portion of this project um, as we move forward. The next project that we have is the live scan fingerprint system, 27PD02. This is a project that has a total estimated cost of $30,870. And the project is expected to finish in fiscal year 27. So that estimated cost is the total estimated cost. The next project is the Maryland Ave Survey and Development Concept Project. Uh, this project has a total estimated cost of 1.5 million. In fiscal year 27, the estimated cost that we have for this project is $65,000. The next project is the DPW yard improvements, resurfacing and storage building project. We have a total estimated cost of $100,000 with that project to be completed in fiscal year 27 for $100,000. The next project that we have here is the Veterans Memorial flagpoles and lighting upgrades, 27 DPS 03. This is a new project that is has a total estimated cost of $22,000. Fiscal year 27 cost is 22,000. Estimated completion date is projected for fiscal year 27 as well. The next new project that we have is 27 DPS 04, the 54th Place Park Fence Replacement. We have a total estimated cost of $50,000. Estimated cost for fiscal year 27 is 50,000 as well, with a fiscal year 27 projected completion date. The next project is the land acquisition and park development. We have a total estimated cost of $400,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost is about 25,000. And at the projected completion date, we're still in the planning scope phase of this project. So that date is still to be determined. Next is the Jefferson Street Spring Lane Lighting Improvement Project. We have a total estimated cost of $332,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost is 47,000. And this has an estimated completion date in the next fiscal year 28. The next new project we have is the 48th in Ravenswood Pocket Park and Community Green Space Project. We have a total estimated cost of 122,000. Fiscal year 27 estimated costs are $5,000. And this project, at this phase, the planning scope phase, the completion date is to be determined as well. Next is the Queensberry Road Rain Garden Restoration and Green Space Enhancement Project. This is has a total estimated cost of 125,000. Fiscal year 27 estimated cost 5,000. In the planning scope phasing right now, with the projected completion date for fiscal year 27. Again, this one is contingent upon a town securing grant funding. Next, we have the Municipal Center Energy project, solar installation. We have a total estimated cost of $355,794. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost, 355,794, with a fiscal 28 final completion date. So that concludes all of the new projects that were added for fiscal year 27. And I guess maybe we take a pause here if there are any questions before we move to existing projects.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Questions from council or the public? Feel free to raise your hand. Question I have in terms of like looking at, and sorry if I jumped in front of someone, in terms of looking at the particular, if we were awarded grant funding, we're not including that in the total cost. It's only sort of net costs after grants.
So the projects that we have, the new projects that we have now, the total cost, if we've gotten documentation about those grants, we typically include that. There's like 4 or 5 projects that we're still awaiting, so we don't want to, record that revenue in here yet without actually having those grants. But we do feel fairly confident that we should be getting the majority of the grants that fund these new projects.
Okay, so for this example that we're showing now, we were awarded 318,000. So if you can scroll down a little bit, the cost is 355,000, but I'm trying to see like, is it the net cost post award? Is that the difference, or it has like the estimated cost being the full 355,000? Is this project normally like 600,000 and we just took off the 318 that we
Oh, I
were
see what you're
awarded?
saying. Yeah, so for this particular project, the 355,794, it includes the 318. And the remaining amount, we contributed unrestricted CIP funds to finish and complete. So that's what the 355 entails.
Okay, that's helpful. Did we did that for everyone? I'll have to look through again, but I think it's helpful to just see the what are the sort of net dollars, right?
Hmm.
So like it almost shows like it could even just be like the grant funding like pulled out of the body of the
Hmm.
description into there so we can see that we're actually it's a little bit of investment for a lot. I think for the police one, the police radio one as an example, it was like we're only paying a small amount of money for like a almost $500,000 worth of value. So
Yeah.
just so that it's easy to read. All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
I'm just speaking to CIP Project 27 PW10, the solar municipal project. I just have a comment. I would absolutely adore a dialogue about potential use of solar to run energy to our electric vehicles. It's something I'm considering in my own house. And I think as a municipality, it would be an incredible show of our ethics environmentally and what we are trying to accomplish as a town. That's my only statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm wondering about some of the various projects around town center, and I'm sure I'm asking because I'm sure staff have considered this. So not trying to put anyone on the spot, but as we all know, we have a long-term vision to move our municipal center to a different facility. Um, flag poles, those are sort of relatively lower cost items. I look at the cost of the solar here, and again, I assume staff have put the thought into this and have, weighed the cost and benefits and determined that it makes sense to do this. But I am curious for a little bit more information on how staff are thinking about that transition, conceding, of course, that we don't know for 100% certain that it's going to happen, but it is in our long-term vision. So if there's any context staff could provide on that, I'd be interested.
Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Uh, Councilmember Smith, thank you for that question. Yes, is the short answer. We have looked at the eventual move if it happens. Um, Realistically, we're not sure how things are going to play out for the rest of the current administration. Um, we do believe that it's possible that the building could be transferred to the town in the spring of 27. But in terms of putting together a project and to seeing that designed, permitted, and funded, I think it's realistic to say you're talking at least 5 years. You're looking probably more realistically at 7 years from the moment the building is transferred to the town.
Yeah, understood. That jives with sort of my uninformed projections, which when we started this process, I said, nearly 10 years it might be before we get in there, and we're a little bit down the road from that. So nice to hear my guess was relatively close by. Um, yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Town Manager. Just would like to continue discussing and thinking about how in sort of these larger investment projects for town center, how we're thinking about what they mean for the future. I know something like solar panels, that might be something that, on one end, by the time, that 7 years gets here, the technology could be obsolete and we'd be spending it again other way, anyway, or it might be something where this is a longer term investment and those panels can just be packed up and put on a different building. All these things that I know staff are thinking about. So just
Yes,
always curious to know how that thought process is going. And thank you for that information.
yes, and thank you, sir. And just for clarity on the solar uh, project, of the 355, 318 is in grant funds. And so locally, we'd be spending $30,000 in town dollars for us to have solar panels on the municipal center as well as on the roof of the DPW building for at least 7 years.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor,
We'll get you next. We'll go Councilman Warstop. You have your hand raised, and then we'll go to you next, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So a few weeks ago, we had a presentation about, well, first, hold on. Let me say thank you for the format that you've presented all of the projects in. I really appreciate that. And it's easy to follow. So thank you for the work that went into that. On the few weeks ago, we had a presentation on various items related to the tree canopy in the town. And I know we haven't had the chance to discuss this as a council yet, so it obviously couldn't be included in here. And some of the aspects would fall under other budget categories. But so I guess this question doesn't just relate to this category, but if there are new projects that we decide are priorities over the next fiscal year, like where would those fall in here? Are there like extra funds that we have not dedicated to new projects that we could use for new projects? I'll leave it there. I think the intent of my question is clear. I'd appreciate any context. Thank you.
New capital projects is that I'm assuming what you're talking about. Like I know some of the things for the tree canopy things are whether it was incentive programs or other things. I'm assuming there are existing sort of like our tree maintenance projects. Like we have existing sort of funds dedicated to sort of maintaining some of the tree health, right? That potentially we could look to expand if that was what we're looking to do.
So if I may, Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
a couple of thoughts. So we do have in the operating budget funds for tree maintenance and that, and then we seek grants for planting trees as well. If it's about setting up a program to support the tree canopy generally, but through grants or some other initiatives, we would look to fund that out of the Community Development Fund. If we need to transfer additional funds into the Community Development Fund, then as the budget's presented, then we would either have to reduce anticipated expenditures or we would have to fund that from an additional transfer from the unallocated general fund, which is commonly referred to as our reserves.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman McClellan.
yeah, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Jones mentioned 54th place that they have to replace a fence at 54th place. I don't know which fence is that. I want him to clear that for us in 54th place here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I could probably do that quickly.
Sure.
So this is the 54th place tot lot. we went with a fence that we thought was going to be best to meet our needs, and it has been damaged many times, and so the fence is going to need to be replaced with a more suitable material, and we're looking at some options and guidance put out by the Consumer Protection Agency as it relates to public playgrounds. And so I think this is important to also note that at the budget phase, we're looking for support of new projects, but any expense greater than $20,000 will be brought back separately to the mayor and council after we have information from vendors or contract approvals, things of that nature. So all these projects that are eventually included in an approved budget, you all will have an opportunity to weigh in on them again when we work through the process.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager, if I may ask, 54 place, we have a pending cases over there. Then you guys are trying to tell us that because I see the gates, that has been damaged for a long time. You said you're going to replace that gate. What about the pending case? What has happened about that?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, yeah, please. Yeah, I'm not sure
Well,
we
I was just going to say I'll arrange to respond to that question at a future time with the council.
Yeah, because it's pending litigation, council member. There's rules in terms of what we can sort of talk publicly about. So we're happy to get that information to you for sure. But I think the sentiment of you're saying is just, it's. I hear the question. I think I appreciate the question. We'll be sure to get you an update sort of offline on that pending litigation.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments from council or the public on these questions? Deputy Director Jones, were there any other, now that we sort of in light of this, where like what we're looking at, the solar panel is actually just $30,000 or so in terms of what the cost is for this year? Are there any other programs or projects that are similar where the cost might be a lot, but it's actually a smaller investment for this particular fiscal year because of grant funding?
Yeah, so we have the Queensbury Road Rain Garden Restoration and Green Space Enhancement. We are looking to get a grant for that one. Jefferson and Spring Lane Streetlight Project, which was 27P, the 27 PPS 06. That one, a grant has been applied for as well. And then the one you mentioned earlier for the police radios, that was the other one that we were expecting grant funding for.
Okay. And if we don't get grant funding, I know if it's not already awarded, we assume the full cost, hoping that we get the grant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then if we do get the grant, how does that, if we get the grant, say after the budget, like weeks or months later, how does that impact the budget?
So at least at this point, the expectation is that the projects that we have listed here that are going to be securing grant funding, we won't go ahead with those projects yet until if we don't get the grant funding. So we're kind of reliant on those
Yep.
grants to move forward with them. So I guess in the event that we don't get the grant funding, yeah, we'll have to explore other sources of funding. But yeah, at least for right now, all the projects that we listed that are relying on grant revenue, we won't move forward unless we actually have the grants to fund those.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may add,
Sure.
we would to account for grants that are not included here. they would be through a budget amendment because we would have to account for those funds. So if we get a grant mid-year, then we would roll that into a budget amendment for you all to then officially accept and allocate those dollars. That's been our practice in the past. And then I think, Mr. Mayor, what I'm hearing in terms of the format, in terms of what would be helpful, we'll make some adjustments to this new format to divide things out and to better reflect the source of funds.
Yeah, we don't want anyone to have to do any math on the
No.
fly here,
Yep.
but
And
then it's a good statement too, because when we have opportunities to say because of grant funding, we're getting a little bit, because sometimes I know there are certain instances where we have to put up a commitment and we'll get the grant to cover the rest. It's always good to sort of show that.
yes, sir.
Councilmember Worsnop, go ahead.
Thanks. Just real quickly, for now, until that change of format, am I interpreting page 227 correctly in that the funds that are noted under the restricted column, those are secured grant funds for each project? Is that true?
I'm going to wait until we have the page 227 pulled up so we're all looking at the same thing.
Oh, sorry. The back of that. That's not the same page I have for 227. I have a
Mr.
table
Shelton,
that says capital improvement programs, fiscal year 2027 expenditures.
if you can go to 227 of the document.
Okay. Right there.
Yeah, that was it. Yep.
If you can go up to the top, Mr. Shelton, so we can see the headings. Mr. Shelton. If we could see the headings on top of this page. All right. So everything here are funds that the town has. And so restricted funds can only be used for certain purposes. Unrestricted, you would read that as general fund dollars. Is that correct, Mr. Jones?
Yes, that is correct. So in the event that, so examples of restricted funds that we've used in the past, it could be, some of the CDA loan, walk by drive revenue, grant revenue, and such. We treat that as restricted use. And to Town Manager Lestitian's point, anything that is unrestricted is money that we've brought over to those projects from the CIP unrestricted. So on the previous page where it says revenue, and we have a total of what is that? I believe it was like 1.5 million. That was what was transferred over from the general fund on the fund balance sheet. And that money, when spent, is treated as unrestricted in the right column that you see there. So for instance, like streetlight acquisitions for 93,000, the 93,000 there spent is unrestricted funds that we transferred over to the CIP fund balance, if that makes sense.
It does. So it's more than just grant funds that are in the restricted
Correct.
column now
Yes.
I'm hearing. Okay.
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
funds they're not additional funds that the town must spend. Like in the example that the mayor mentioned, the municipal center solar project. Those are grant funds. We can see the additional funds that are being spent by the town in that case, but we
Mhm.
can't always make that assumption you're saying for all of
Right,
these
right.
because it's not just from grant funds. Okay, thank you. That clarified it.
Yep. Okay. That's good. So those are all the new projects.
Yes, those are all the new projects.
Okay. Let's go to
We were
some of
going
these.
to the existing projects, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, that works.
And again, we'll make updates to this new format to show what you've pointed out, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. I do like the format a lot though. This is good.
Okay, so the first of the existing projects that we have here is the pollinator garden. We have a total estimated cost of 25,000, projected fiscal year 27 amount of $5,000, and this is an ongoing project, so we don't have a projected completion date. The next project is Mount Rose. This is has a total estimated cost of 305,000, with estimated fiscal year 27 cost of 218,000. And this is projected to be completed in the next fiscal year 27. The community garden, a total estimated cost of $29,265. For fiscal year 27, the estimated cost is $3,859, with a projected completion date of fiscal year 27 as well. Next is the flood mitigation and rain gardens. Total estimated cost for this project is $151,280. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost is $46,680, and we have a projected completion date of fiscal year 27 as well. The next project is welcome signage. We have a total estimated cost of 105,000. 27 estimated cost is $44,262, with a projected completion date of fiscal year 2027. Next project is the implementation of the new town common seal. So we have a total estimated cost of $80,000. For fiscal year 27, we have estimated cost of $40,000, and this is to be a ongoing project. Next is the bus stop improvements. We have a total estimated cost of 140,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost of 95,650. And this project is also an ongoing project. Next is the Adam and Emily Plummer Park. Total estimated cost of 430,380. Fiscal year 27 estimated cost is 314,000, and we have a fiscal year completion date of fiscal year 27. So the next project is the Plummer Park Commemorative Overlay Project. The total estimated cost for this project is 125,000. We have an estimated fiscal year 27 cost of 25,000, with a projected completion date of fiscal year 27. The next project that we have here is the Town Center Trolley Trail and Parking Lot Redesign. This project has a total estimated cost of $1,350,000. $500,000 is estimated to be spent in fiscal year 27, and this project is projected to be completed in summer of 2028. Next is Municipal Center Stormwater. We have a total estimated cost of $70,000, with estimated fiscal year 27 cost being $35,000. And this is to be completed in the fall of 2026. The next project is 6401 51st Avenue, Boys and Girls Club, ADA. We have a total estimated cost of $35,000, and estimated costs for fiscal year 27 are $35,000, with the projected completion date being fiscal year 27 as well. Next is the DPS building renovations. So we have a total estimated cost of $210,000. For fiscal year 27, the amount is $128,633 with a projected completion date of fiscal year 2028. Next is the Queensbury parking lot. Total estimated cost, $1,308,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 costs are $142,608. And the projected completion date is fiscal year 27. The next project is the Municipal Center Accessibility Project. We have a total estimated cost of $75,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 costs are $56,000. And we have a projected completion date of fiscal year 27 as well. The next project is the website update. Total estimated cost is $60,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost $60,000 and a projected completion date fiscal year 27. Next is technology improvements. Total estimated cost of $190,743. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost is $22,653. This project should be completed in fiscal year 27. The next project is the neighborhood safety camera system. The total estimated cost being $403,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 costs are $50,000 with a projected completion date fiscal year 2027. The next project is the traffic signs. We have a total estimated cost of $96,763. Estimated fiscal year 27 costs are $65,237, and this is an ongoing project. The next project is the ballistic vests. Total estimated cost being $26,400. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost $13,200. Next is the Public Safety Communications Console. We have a total estimated cost of $199,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost being $20,000 with a projected completion date of fiscal year 27. Next project is vehicle replacements for the police department. Total estimated cost, $799,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost, $182,000. And this is an ongoing project. Next project is the vehicle upgrades, purchases, and replacements for the Department of Public Projects and Services. So we have a total estimated cost of $344,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost, $140,000. And this is an ongoing project as well. The next project is streetlight acquisitions. The total estimated cost is $362,353. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost is $93,027. And this is an ongoing project. Next is the street furniture and waste receptacles. Total estimated cost is $112,885. Estimated fiscal year 27 costs are $34,294. And this is also an ongoing project. Next, we have engineering services. Total estimated cost being $100,610. Estimated fiscal year 27 costs are $30,000, and this is also an ongoing project. Next is the Natoli Place Lafayette Avenue redesign. The total estimated cost being $1,126,435. An estimated fiscal year 27 costs $988,518. And the projected completion date for this is fiscal year 2029. Next, we have the stormwater improvements. Bill Circle location. Total estimated cost is $286,000. The estimated fiscal year 27 cost is $122,777 with a projected completion date of fiscal year 2027. The next project we have is the offsite stormwater mitigation, Madison Street and 47th Avenue project. This has a total estimated cost of $650,000. The estimated fiscal year 27 costs are $65,000 with a projected completion date of fiscal year 27. The next project is curb ramp improvements. Total estimated cost 225,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 costs are 75,000, and this is an ongoing project. Next is the Purple Line Neighborhood Connectivity Project. Total estimated cost 725,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost is $200,000 with a projected completion date fiscal year 2027. Next is the Streets and Sidewalks Improvement Project. Estimated total cost is $2,889,298 with an estimated fiscal year 27 cost of $648,000 and a projected completion date. This is an ongoing project. Safe Streets for All. We have an estimated cost of $630,000. Estimated fiscal year 27 cost is $280,000, and this is an ongoing project. And yeah, so that concludes the existing projects, and then the next set of projects are the projects that were completed.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Director Jones. I think a similar comment to before in terms of the formatting, where obviously if there are grant funds out there, I think what would be helpful is, and I was going back and forth as every project came up with a new example. I think what would be helpful is to know um, how many as an example, right? I think it's forget the exact project, but if something's like total cost is $700,000, we're spending $30,000 this year. I think it's helpful to know how much um, funds will need to be allocated in the future, where it's some so is this the first 30,000 of multiple to get to the 700? Obviously, if there's grant funding that will help, with the new format, we'll know that $500,000 is grant funding. There's still another 200,000. We're doing 30,000 this year. So I thought about should we show what was given in the past, but that might just cause more confusion, right? Because some things, some of these projects have been, for fiscal year 12, right? And so it may show that well, we spent a lot of money on sidewalk improvement, which we have over the last 10 years. But I think what's more interesting or probably helpful is to know what the future projected costs are to sort of quote unquote finish the project out. So if it's one of those things where we're $60,000 away from wrapping this thing up, maybe it'd be helpful to know that, okay, maybe we should try to finish it now or recommend that. Or if it's one of those, we're so far out, maybe we change what the budget allocation is for this year because for whatever reason. But I think that's a helpful missing nugget that I think should try to clarify the story on some of these, which is different than the net new project, but some of these existing ones that have gone on for a while. That makes sense. Okay. Questions from council or the public? Councilmember Worsnop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this might be a particular example of what you were just talking about, but I was wondering if somebody could speak to it. This particularly with the Purple Line neighborhood connectivity project, with the projected completion date of this fiscal year 2027, but we're estimating spending 200,000 of the 725,000. Is that because we're hoping to get grant funds to allow it to be completed? Is that a case of that?
So if I can
Sure.
comment, so let me first apologize for any confusion. I've noticed that some of the projected completion dates that we updated last week are not reflected in this document.
Okay.
So that's one, as well as some of the total estimated cost are not reflected in this document. So when we make these changes that the mayor has recommended to the format, we will make sure that the total estimated costs are updated and the completion dates are updated. As it relates to this project, we did receive a bond bill for 325,000, I believe. Is that correct, Jessica? On the connectivity, yeah. So we have that, but we believe that we'll be expending the 200,000 in fiscal 27, but that project completion date is not accurate, and we'll get that stuff fixed.
Thank you.
So, but even in that example, funds have already been used on this project, right?
No, sir. So on this project, we've been asking many different sources for funds here. So we may have spent a little bit of local money. Mr. Jones, can you pull up what has been expended, if anything, on this project?
I have a projected amount for this year. We plan to spend 37,000, but as of now, it's much less than that. Let me pull that up.
Okay. As you pull it up, I guess if it's 725, we know we're gonna get 325. That gets us to 525. And then the additional 200,000 you're saying that would be like for future fiscal years?
Yes. So, or we have to change the scope of the project. So,
Okay.
we need 725 for that project is our
Yeah.
projection now.
Yeah.
What we were successful in getting was 325,000. So we're going to do what we can to move things along, as well as some of the survey work we may be able to do with some federal dollars that we currently have in a I'll call it a feeder project that's Safe Streets for All. So we may be able to do the survey work with some money from there.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's good. I think these projects are the meaty ones that the multi-year, they tell a story about sort of how these funds have um the work that's gone into these. So it's I think the additional information and sort of cleaning up the data would be helpful for sure. But any other questions or comments on any of the sort of existing projects?
Mr. Mayor?
Lingua has a
Council member?
hand up.
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Cologne, and then we'll go to
Yeah,
Councilmember.
my concern, because the last time Director Luis told me that The street lights at 54th Avenue and Sprinkling should be completed this year. I don't know why that is existing in this project. Thank you.
There is a section for completed projects this year. Is that in that section?
That's why she told me the last year.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Director Lewis is coming on.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, from your comments about the lights that were put on Pepco poles on 54th south of Jefferson, we are now proposing a new streetlight project that would include Jefferson between 54th and Kenilworth, and then that section of 54th to Spring Lane to have new town-owned lights. So you commented that the lighting that was completed a year ago wasn't sufficient. So now we're recommending a new streetlight project that will add additional lights on 54th through Spring Lane and then Jefferson between 54th and Kenilworth, which only at this point has Pepco lights, which really focus on the road and not on sidewalks.
So
hopefully bring it to a level that is acceptable.
So that's going to be completed this year?
We've requested funding through the county's Community Development Block Grant Program. If in fact those grants are awarded, we'll certainly get through the design this year and possibly installation, since we won't need a county permit for that streetlight project or any other we've learned. So there's a possibility if we get the grant, we should be able to finish it in FY 2027.
Oh boy. All right.
And then Councilmember, I know Lingua, you have a hand raised in the room. What you just described, Director Lewis, is that included in one of the new projects that we just covered earlier?
Yes, the Jefferson and 54th
Jefferson Lane.
Spring Lane.
Yes. Okay.
One of the new projects.
Thank you. Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have a few questions. First, I'd like to start with the page I've got now, and I'm going to probably work towards the front of the number of items we just went over, because I noticed a subtle difference in when I'm seeing some of these estimated costs, or when it says completed costs. I'm noticing we've had a number of these that when the completed cost is listed, it's in black. And yet when I get to the page about the municipal center renovations, I couldn't help but notice that the completed cost is in red. I was wondering if there is a indirect message there that would like to be shared with the council regarding this number.
In regards to the format, in regards to the formatting, many of the edits that we made over the last week, are not reflected in this document. There's no reason for that number to be in red.
Oh, okay.
That is a problem on proofreading, and that is a problem on formatting, and all these things will be addressed.
Okay. I was just wondering because we're coming in on this at let's call it 2.3 million for this project. And just out of curiosity, what was the initial projected amount for this project to be completed?
Mr. Chelton, can you pull up this project so I can see it on the screen, please?
Forgive me, could you repeat the project?
The municipal center.
Okay.
That's 18GG01.
So if we can go down a little bit. Okay. So Mr. Jones, does this completed cost reflect everything, including prior to the interior renovation, the roof, the generators, and all of that. That's all dollars spent from the beginning on the buildings. Is that correct?
That should be all of the, yeah, that's everything that's there.
So, Councilmember Lingua, in response to your question, that's not just the interior renovations. That's in prior years, going back to 2018. That's the roof that we had done separate. That's the 3 generators that we had installed as well. And so this is a cumulative cost since 2018.
Cumulative for this line item, for this
Correct.
project item.
Yes, because all of that has been in the project.
Okay.
And yes, but it's all those different phases. We can get a breakdown for you if that would be helpful.
Well, I was just wondering, because granted, now we're looking about 8 years ago that we started talking about this, and my memory's not that good. I was just wondering if staff had on record what we were saying the cost was going to be, the estimated cost was going to be when it was first proposed in 2018. I know we've had a number of, shall we say, unknown unknowns coming up, dealing with, well, this time, we were still 2 years from having a pandemic. We were still, and also I know we had costs related to trying to get things through departments of permanent inspection and enforcement with the county. So if I could get a breakdown on that, or if you'd like to share that with the rest of the council, that might be helpful.
We will
just for future projects, because we're looking at projects in our future that are going to be considerably more substantial than what we had here on this one. Mr. Mayor, if I may add another question regarding 26 PW06, which is the offsite stormwater mitigation, Madison Street and 47th Avenue, and about how does that tie in with the project we have for, I have to go back a number of pages, but I'll just say it while I'm coming back, the project we have for Mount Rose Park. Because I know these are 2 items that are very close proximity to one another, if not almost tangential to one another. And are these going to be doing, are the improvements for both of these going to be done in conjunction with each project?
And I'm sorry, sir, did you mention Mount Rose?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because where these are just, like very close, if not tangential to one another. I know we do have, you have a single family house there.
Yes,
right,
sir.
in those 2 areas. You're also having there are a number of commercial properties to the west of where Mount Rose Park is going to be.
Yes, so exactly, sir. As it relates to stormwater management, there's a stormwater management component to Mount Rose Park, and all that is going to be planned and worked on together, engineered at the same time.
Okay.
Yes, sir, because we have to look at our area of disturbance, and any runoff that we may be creating will have to be addressed. So we're going to address that at the same time with this mitigation project.
Okay. And I don't want to make assumptions here, but so, I'm not going to say I take it that. I'm going to ask, does this, the stormwater at 47th Madison, is that including that section that runs south along 47th where it turns back into Lafayette, where there's almost looks like a rain garden like area that was worked on? I believe that was part of the Leroy Petrie Honor Village.
Yes, sir. The short answer is staff are aware of the water issues that come down the slope of 47 and then jump the driveway apron there and cause an issue. So all that's going to be looked at by the engineers, and we're going to try to solve stormwater management in that area.
In that area. Okay. I know I was aware of that. I kind of saw that issue as being something separate.
Well, we
I
want
was
to
thinking
make
more
sure
of
that
the-
capacity and everything is there.
I was thinking more of on the west side of that road as it's coming down right along
Yes.
where Thrifty Iron is.
And there's an old inlet there, I believe,
Okay.
on the west side, but it's looking at this comprehensively. So we have to solve everything in that area, and so that's at least the goal. And then once it's engineered, we'll have a better understanding of what the cost is. So right now we're working on our best guess.
Okay. And last thing I'd like to bring up, if I may, Mr. Mayor, if that's all right with you,
Sure.
regarding the identification and looking at installing cameras throughout town. We already have 6. We're looking at, or I believe so we have 7. We're looking at 6 more to be putting in.
There's 2 more that we're
2 more.
Yes, sir. That's anticipated in this budget.
Okay, so we're looking, we would be up to a total of how many then?
Well, how many? Because there's 2 that are in this year's budget, I believe, and then we're looking at 2 for next year. So that'd be a total of 4. So Rob, how many do you have currently?
I believe the number was 7. So we would be up to a total of 11.
Yeah, yes,
11 cameras.
yes, sir.
Okay. And I know that I'd seen you know what, I'm going to save this question for another time because it has nothing to do with the budget. So,
okay.
But it is regarding what system that the county is setting up with other municipalities to integrate cameras. So, but that's for another time.
Thank
That's
you,
all for now,
Councilman.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
No problem. Great questions. Any other questions from council or public on the existing projects? Okay. The last group are the completed projects for this fiscal year.
Yes, that's the last portion of this.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, did you want to go through the completed projects, or do you want that for a work session?
Yeah, I think the only thing if there are projects that were under budget that we're getting money back, would be good to kind of call those out. And then assuming if there were projects that were completed but they had overture, like they overran the budget, we wouldn't be asking for new funds for this year for any completed projects, right?
So there are 2 projects. Mr. Jones, chime in here. I believe there's 2 projects where we were slightly over, and we have to balance those out. But as it relates to projects where we had savings, the proposed budget already allows for those, if you will, where we're asking then for or those funds are going to other projects in the proposed budget. So it's not like there's a bucket of money there.
Yeah.
If the council wants to come up with a different project than what staff are proposing, then we would have to analyze to see where we can pull funds from.
Okay, and then the ones that ran over, those were sort of solved for within the current fiscal year. There's no projects that are completed that we're going to need new funds for FY2027 to fund previous projects, right?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Jones. I'm not sure how he accounted for that. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, so the projects that to Mr. Listician's points, majority of the projects that we have did not go over, and then the funds went back to that unrestricted CIP funds that we used to fund the other projects. The projects that did go over though, we did have to put money back to balance those out. Um, and those just ended up coming out of the CIP unrestricted fund balance that we moved into the budget for fiscal year 27. So that 1.5 million, that's where we were able to reconcile and get those projects back to zero.
Got it. So in some ways, the projects that came under budget helped fund any projects that went over. It just technically went into the general fund for FY27, and then before you brought it over, you made sure you balanced out for
Yeah.
the current fiscal year. Okay.
And
Okay.
Mr. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, Mr. Mayor. And
No problem.
Mr. Jones, do you have a dollar figure on what that is? If not, we can provide that to the council.
Yeah, I have a list of all the projects. Give me a second though. It's a long list. Um,
We're too busy.
We can give you an update on that
okay. Yeah.
next week, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I think it'd be good to have a conversation about completed projects. Um, one for our own perspective, right? I think it's easy to see the list and it's 20 something, projects, but it's good to know that things are getting done. So that'll be great. We can have a larger conversation on that. Okay. So those are the all the capital improvement projects, right? So the next are the public safety ones.
Yes, so to move on to the operating cost centers then, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, let's do that.
Yes. So we have Chief Turner and Deputy Chief Garcia with us this evening, but similar to last week, we're going to rely on our Deputy Director, Mr. Jones, to start this conversation going through the cost center um, and and any significant changes. Um, so once Mr. Chelton has this pulled up. Um, then Mr. Jones, you can take it away, sir.
Okay, so I guess we can start here with police services. Here we have a list of the significant changes. Um, so for the 27 budget, does reflect a full year funding of one full-time equivalent position for a police officer. Um, the budget also reflects the 2.5% organization-wide cost of living adjustment, as well as the merit step increases, and additionally the pay range schedule that had been expanded with steps 19 and 20. Um, the 27 budget also reflects the 10% increase in health insurance. As well as the personnel related expenditures that also adjust with the salary. Workers' comp also is projected in here to decrease by 12%. But yeah, the salaries, as they go up, the benefits go up as well. Um, and yeah, the rest of the budget, at least for police services, significant changes, overtime, operating, all of those are less than 5%. So we don't have any significant changes there. Yeah, so the next is police admin services. So the fiscal year 27 budget here does reflect the full year funding of one full-time service equivalent positions. We are adding a support services coordinator. Um, Again, there's the 2.5% cost of living adjustment, as well as the two new steps. The benefits have also increased. We have the 10% increase in health insurances. With the addition of the new salary position, we did budget for a family plan. So the benefits are a little bit higher, depending on uh, what that employee comes in hired as. Um, that can come down if they choose a single person single person health plan. And outside of that, yeah, we do not have any other significant changes in this um, particular cost center. Next is the police communication services. So budget here does reflect 2.5% the COLA there. We also have the 10% in health insurance. And then the workers' comp, again, down 12%. This is um, organization wide, so that is expected throughout. We did have an increase in contractual services as well. I don't know why there's no significant changes there, no statement there, but that did go up 178%. If we could go on to the next page, I can take a look at that. The next one for if you go one down, one more page. Yeah, so here it's just the voice recorder plan. We have increased that from 3,000 up to 8,333. So the significant change there is just we have increased that particular line item. So outside of the contractual services, we do not have any other significant changes for this line item. So we can go to the next cost center, please.
I'm out.
Mr. Jones, if we can stop in this cost center, or is there more within the police department? Or
Yeah, there's more for police. We have the safe streets for all the
the automated enforcement?
automated safe. Yes.
Before we get to that, just a quick question in terms of the voice recorder service plan. Um, I'm assuming we're switching vendors or
So um, we did not switch vendors for the voice recorder plan. I believe this increase should be in training and not in the voice recorder service plan. Our training went up a little bit for with our company that we use to certify our dispatchers. So it went to it more of a contract price instead of per class. So we actually get more training for a little bit more money. But I'm not sure if the voice recorder plan is in the right spot. I have to defer to Gentry.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we'll take a look into that for the voice recorder service plan. But outside of this particular cost center, we don't have any significant changes here.
Okay, Mr.
okay.
Mayor.
Councilmember, go ahead.
Thank you.
Councilmember.
So Chief Turner, what you're saying here, the increase here that we're looking at, just just $5,300, basically, is you're looking. That is that a lot of that, what most of that increase is for training, for dispatch. Is that what?
Correct. This is all for
communications.
Correct.
So as before, so I'm to take it that previously training was just more done like we need training in this. Okay, let's go and purchase that. It was more like kind of like an a la carte. I want this, I want training for this aspect, training for another aspect, and we were purchasing that way. And what you're doing here with this, by even though it is a $5,300 increase, in terms of the amount of training that'll be then available for the communication staff is going to be greater than if we're just, grabbing a course here, a course there. Is that correct?
Correct. The company we use went to more of a contract price, which offers training monthly instead of like say twice a year.
Okay.
I believe there was probably a slight increase in the voice recorder service plan, and
Okay.
that's why the increase wasn't quite $5,000 for the training. So I think it's a combination of both.
Okay. So it's essentially the increased amount is more of an investment so that there's going to be much more training available.
Correct.
Considerable amount more than what we would be. If we were to try and purchase that separately, it would be a much greater cost.
That's correct. Obviously if you're certified in these modules, if something were to come up, like if we were sued, they if you utilize the training correctly, they'll provide assistance and testify in court or provide legal assistance as well.
So it's essentially it's an upfront cost.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments on the what we've covered so far before we get to the automated enforcement area? Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, so for the community safety programs, um, so the salaries, benefits, again, it's the same organization-wide, 2.5% COLA. We've also had the funding for a community safety officer, and this position will be funded um, with the revenue that's generated from the automated enforcement. Um, the big one here is the contractual services line item. So this does reflect an increase in automated enforcement program costs. That's due to the expansion of the residential district speed enforcement and the full implementation of the red light and stop sign enforcement programs. So with the addition of the stop sign and the full year of the red light, we do have an increase of 245,000, 26%. So that's the significant change that we have here in this particular cost center. And that concludes the police. And then I think, yeah, we'll be moving forward. The next would be Director Lewis and her cost centers.
Okay, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On this section, I'm wondering how the cost here, what is the relationship with the revenue we've seen from the program so far? I know it's not quite apples to apples because we're talking about adding more cameras and all of the ones that we've already authorized aren't fully online. And there's some delay in the revenue that comes from what has been issued, but just roughly, what are we seeing in that interaction? Is anybody else hearing that click? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe can we mute Councilmember Bug? Thank you. You may need to restate your question. We were all distracted by the metronome that was going on.
Sure. Yeah, I get there's it's not quite an apples to apples situation on the current year slash previous year plus next year's revenue versus cost here due to the numbers of cameras increasing and the delay in the revenue from citations, all of that acknowledged. I'm wondering what the relationship is between the cost here that we're budgeting and what the revenue that we've seen come in so far from the program. Being mindful that we've been assured that the the citation revenue would pay for any of the expenditures, but also that we're capped on how much of that revenue we can actually use before we have to write a check back to the state.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I'll try to answer this question. So, we are not we have not reached a position, at least not with our projections, where we have to write any check to the state. The only automated enforcement program that has that restriction or requirement is the speed cameras, automated speed enforcement. There's not that requirement for red lights or stop signs. And so we are not to that threshold. Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones have done projections, and we're not there in terms of reaching that threshold. What was the second part of your question, sir?
Yeah, I'm just curious on how much of revenue that we've received from the program is funding this expenditure. And I know that we're talking about installing more cameras, which is going to create more like all of that. Like I get that it might not be dollar to dollar, but I'm just curious on what the dynamic is currently between the costs and the revenue here.
So the overall, and Mr. Jones, chime in if I have these numbers wrong. Overall, I think you're projecting for all automated enforcement of about $3 million. And you're saying expenditures here 1.2. So you're 1.8 and some change, or 1.9 in net revenue for the town.
Understood. Glad to see that there is, a pay for there. I'm concerned, um, and I'll make this brief because my feelings on this are well known, but I went, just back of the envelope here, I went with 1.1 versus a 13.1 roughly budget. We're already at over 8% of our entire budget um, being spent just on automated enforcement, not police services or traffic safety or anything like that, just on automated enforcement, 8% of our budget. And we're talking about adding more. And I get that it's paid for, 3 million coming in, 1.1 going out, roughly again, back of the envelope. That's all well and good, but the stated goal of this program is enhance public safety, particularly for pedestrians. I'm not seeing those results. I don't know, continually open for dialogue on what the numbers look like coming in, but in our other jurisdictions that have used automated enforcements, the revenue number doesn't really ever go down, which would indicate that the programs aren't really working. Meanwhile, even though it's paid for, we're spending more than 8% of our budget on surveilling our own citizens. Just with automated enforcement, that doesn't even count the community safety programs that I'm hearing that we have. We're talking somewhere on the order of 11 cameras in a town that is less than 2 square miles. Um, it's very concerning to me that we are continuing and accelerating down this path of surveilling our citizens, and I don't think it aligns with our mission and values. And just want to state that for the minutes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, council member. Any other comments or questions from the public or council on the public safety? Councilmember Worsnop, was that analog hand?
Hi, sorry. Quick question, quick follow-up just for my own clarification on the question that Councilmember Smith just asked. I know we went over the projections for the entire automated program, I think last session. this may have been shown at some other time, so apologies if that's true, but could we see numbers, actual numbers from the last few months of the implementation of the programs that we have operating?
Months or
Or
years?
whatever, however long it's been, the speed cameras and the red light
So,
cameras?
yes, so what we have on the page that's being shown are you have the 25 actual expenditures. So in fiscal
Okay,
25
yeah. Yeah.
for speed, it was a 788. Mr. Jones, or whoever's controlling the screen, can you go to a revenue summary for this cost center that would show what the revenue was in fiscal 25, an actual number?
Sorry, what page are you on as well?
187.
27,
187.
187.
What's the page number at the bottom of the document, though? 179. That's different from the
Gotcha.
how Adobe's counting. So if we go to the revenue for this cost center, Mr. Jones, can you tell Mr. Chelton where he can find that?
So the revenue summary, page 62. Which is, yeah, I think it's page 70 in the actual um, PDF. Yeah, if you scroll up just a little bit, yeah, there, 5304.
So
We had an
so
actual.
in 25, the actual revenue number is $2,090,000. Or I'm sorry, $2,090,133. And that's against the cost of the program of 788,000 and some change.
Okay, thank you. So the revenue for that program has gone up rather than down over time for safe speed for students, for instance.
Can you repeat that, ma'am?
Sorry, no, I'm looking at the right one. The safe speed for students is what you were looking at?
Yes. And the
Okay,
safe
and so
speed
the
for,
revenue for that has gone up over time. Or is that what I'm seeing?
wait, the revenue for that is what, ma'am?
Has
Has
gone up.
increased? It's increased?
It's increased over time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason for the increase from 24 to 25 is because previously we have the same number of locations. Previously, it was only in enforcement mode Monday through Friday during school hours. And the town changed that, like many communities, where it's considered a residential zone, except for the cameras on Rivertech Court. And because they're a residential zone, enforcement is 24/7, and that explains the differences in the numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can we go to Councilmember Link?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. When I look at this part of the budget in this item and how essentially we approach it, I kind of find the term revenue as a misnomer. This is actually a paid fine that comes to the town because whomever on the road decided to essentially press down a little more with their right foot than they should be. And that's their choice. And one would think that and as we have this set up, as these are set up, there's notice ahead, photo enforced, camera enforced speed limits. Yet that doesn't seem to dissuade folks from pressing down with their right foot. I remember when this program came on, I remember how one of the cautionary things that we wanted to be aware of is when there was previously a red light program at Riverdale Road and Kenilworth, that estimates for such propensity were high. And at that time, people either that, a widely exaggerated estimation, or folks were just being a little more cautious. Hey, the red light camera here, I better make sure I'm stopping when I'm supposed to, and not. And there was an issue there. So going into the speed camera program, when it was set up at the time for school hours, we kept the estimates on what would be coming in terms of fines from folks going over the speed limit. And mind you, let's remember, on this program, this is if you are in excess of 12 miles or more over the speed limit, that's when a citation goes out. And as we had it set up, it would be checked prior, confirmed here, and then sent out. Each year, we would set an estimate of what fines would be coming in, and each year, I don't think there was one year where it came in under. Chief Turner, correct me if I'm wrong. Assistant Chief Garcia, please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing a year or something, but they were always over, and we were always astounded by this. We've had essentially the same number of cameras. I think we've added one camera. We added a camera on Riverdale Road. Before we started out it was East-West Highway, and it was up on Good Luck Road near Parkdale. And we added one. We added another on. We added the one on Riverdale Road. And no, I'm sorry, pardon me. We did add the one down on Taylor as well. All within what the law stated that we could do. And each year that we've set a number, that number has always been exceeded because of the choice someone makes out there to essentially speed, to go in excess of 12 miles an hour over what the speed limit is. These are fines that are coming in. And if people are choosing to do this, as much as we try and deter it with these cameras, just like as much as we're trying to encourage people to be stopping at stop signs, I mean, we've gone to blinking stop signs, essentially telling people, hey, stop at the stop sign. We've gone now to stop signs that light up saying, hey, stop at the stop sign. The number of speed humps we've had to put in town now saying, hey, slow down. I think, in our effort to try and make this a safer community so people can, feel that they can walk or bike to get to somewhere in town. I mean, I think we're doing what we can. And we're trying to reduce the number of people. I would love to see us one year come in, have our normally conservative estimate on what fines are going to have to be paid, that it came in lower. Until that time, do we maybe need to think of just other ways to a wider approach to essentially really make what needs to be more of a cultural approach? Because in terms of just trying enforcement, it's been a challenge. But I think it kind of comes down to almost like a cultural approach, really, and just a public message that amongst ourselves, amongst citizens, to to really encourage folks, look, drive within the speed limit, stop at stop signs. I think that's really, something that maybe we need to look at. But I think to try, because using the term revenue is just wrong, because there are a number of folks out there, I've heard this before, and I think many of us heard this before. Oh, it's just a revenue generator for the town. Like it's some kind of gotcha scam that the town is setting up, that the community is setting up. Yet it's really just something that the town is using to address concerns. People say, people are driving too fast around here. People are running stop signs around here. We need to do something about it, and we're trying. I think really it's just we need the additional help I think we need from the community is just more reaching out to folks. I mean, I've done this with a couple of folks I've known. I've seen them say, I saw you the other day. What was the hurry? You just ran through that sign like it didn't even exist. I mean, what's going on? It kind of has to come from all of us. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Councilmember Lingua. Councilmember Phil, you're unmuted. Do you have a comment or question?
I do not. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you for the comments and questions on this topic. I know we've talked a lot about this and this particular topic, and both can be true. I think it's a fair point to be concerned that the number of fines keep increasing, and one, because it says that some people are not responding to or they're taking the fines, and they're not respecting the laws. I think there's also a reality as well that this is not like we don't live on a cul-de-sac where the only people who are on our town roads are like local traffic. There are a lot of cut-through traffic. Take a look at any road study and you'll see, 8,000 plus cars during rush hour in a particular intersection, right? For like the Queensbury crossing as an example. So it's a lot of cut-through traffic. And it's obviously a conversation I'm sure we can have, that we'll continue to have, especially when we talk about stop sign enforcement, just around what some of the numbers are, what our counterparts, and our surrounding neighbors are sort of going through this process. They're a couple months ahead of us. And so I think there's happy to reach out to, other mayors or council members from other towns and maybe get their perspective. That's something we can think about doing too at a work session in the future, to see if we're unique in this. And so but this is good conversations. I understand both sides of the arguments, and thank you for the presentation on this section. Okay. Deputy Director Jones, what the last section we have is this, what's up? Is this
It's public projects and services. And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I wanted to give a little intro to this.
Sure, please do.
So you'll notice that I'm using a different term than Department of Public Works. Back in 2017, Mr. Smith set about to help reshape the town, and he did that by saying, we need to be about service, and that needs to be in our name wherever possible. Thus we had administrative services, employee services, finance services, and when we filled the position, we didn't fill the lead position in that department with someone as a director of public works, but the director of public projects and services. And so we are moving forward with implementing that change. We've met with the staff team, and they embrace the concept that, yes, we are about providing excellence of service to our residents. And that's really important. And the other thing is we've done a little restructure in this department. And so I think if there's one major takeaway from the budget process, and that is we have a lot of projects and there's a lot going on there, and we have to dedicate more resources to that. And so you'll see here in a minute that we're looking to hire a project manager. And because right now, Director Lewis manages the projects with the help of a full-time employee, but who helps Ivy part-time, and then a very part-time employee who works about 3 hours a week helping Ivy on projects. And we need to dedicate more resources here. And we managed to do that. We eliminated a supervisory role, an ops manager, and then elevated the team leaders' roles to report directly to Director Lewis. And we think this positions us to better deliver projects on time and on budget. And that's vitally important. And when we talk about service, and I'm going to get a little off topic here, but I ask for some leeway. When we talk about service and where the town's going, if we go back to the state of the town, and we talk about, well, we need to grow the accessible base, and that needs to happen, and we need to grow the commercial accessible base, and we need to meet all the goals and objectives that the mayor and council are outlined in these vision statements. Well, all that comes down to, are we being of importance to our residents, and are we providing excellence in service? And if we want to grow the accessible base so we can have long-term financial sustainability, so we can provide those services, then we have to have a safe town. We have to have a town where people come together and enjoy events, that have a sense of identity and a sense of belonging. We have to have a town where our private property owners are maintaining their properties. That's our neighborhood services. And then here we're going to be talking about public projects and services, and we need to have a clean town, and a town that's well maintained, a town that delivers projects to enhance the quality of life. Every one of our departments is interconnected. And we talk about this a lot at our staff team meetings. Cleaning up litter ties to whether or not we will be financially sustainable in the long term. That's vitally important, because Ryan in economic development services will have a harder time working with site selectors to fill storefronts if the town's not clean, if it's not well maintained. All this stuff ties together. The same with the safety side. If we're not perceived as a safe town, we learned during the state of the town that our police have a response time, I think it was 2 minutes and 19 seconds, versus in the county and unincorporated nearby areas, they're waiting an additional 5 minutes and 41 seconds. This is what sets us apart. And I think this change that we're making is not just in a name. It's adopting a name that matches our approach, that matches how town staff perceive themselves and what our residents expect of us. You also hear that we're going to add, if approved, a full-time maintenance tech position. And we're taking that from 2 part-time positions. So we're asking for a quarter of a position there. So we swapped out a position and a ops manager for a project manager, and adding a full-time person instead of two part-time people. So we're going up by 0.25 is what I recall, but on my screen and actually on the big screen, I can't see the font that small, but that's my recollection. But so before Mr. Jones goes through these significant changes and any additional comments that Director Lewis may have, are there any questions on anything that I've said regarding this?
No questions for me, seeing none online. Appreciate the
Can I
background.
make quickly, Mr. Mayor?
Sure, Councilmember.
In terms of what you're looking at with this solicitation, in terms of looking at a projects manager, this is someone who's also would be overseeing CIP projects.
Oh, yes, sir. And that's their focus, is to focus on CIP projects.
Okay.
And we, in our analysis, this is what the department needed to be able to deliver the projects on time and on budget. Because we essentially have Director Lewis and then some part-time help for her. And we need a full-time position that's going to be able to really stay on top of things, keep things moving, keep us from anything falling through the cracks, to be that liaison with DPI, to push. So we have high expectations, and we hope to be able to fill the position with someone who has experience, where this is not an entry-level job.
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Director Lewis or Director Jones, Deputy Director Jones, you want to go through?
Sure. Well, town manager listician covered much of what we had going on for salaries, benefits and overtime. Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing we have going there is the addition of the new project manager, removal of the operations manager, and those two seasonal positions being converted. Yeah, he pretty much covered that. Contractual services, we do have janitorial services and we have an increase in the tree maintenance. So that's why we are going from 570 up to 621. And then for the operating expenditures, there's an increase there for some equipment purchases. We're up about 10% there. Other operating expenditures, there are no significant changes. So yeah, so we can move to the next section, which I believe is weather. Yeah, weather response services. So for weather response services, we did have an increase there. Um, Due to the storm, we've increased the overtime from 12,000 up to 18,000. And then in the other operating expenditures, we have about 16,000. That's up $9,000 to 25. And that was due to wanting to increase for additional funding due to the weather that we saw in the past year, just to keep up pace with the rising costs and any potential severe weather events. Just want to make sure that we are able to have an effective emergency response and stay prepared there. So for weather response services, we did see an increase overall there of $15,000. Then the next categories that we have are just going to be the municipal buildings. So for the town hall, we're keeping things flat there. We don't have any significant changes. Yeah, keeping it at the 33,500 amount. We have the public safety building, and that is being increased from the operating expenditures from 28,000 to 668. So no significant changes there, just increasing our operating expenditures for that particular building. We have the Public Works building. And that one, no significant changes either, keeping that actually flat. So there's not even an increase for the Public Works building. And then the last building is the auxiliary building, the cost center there. And that amount has increased by $3,000 from 12,700. So no significant changes for that particular line item either. And that concludes the new department, new naming of the department. So same department, yeah. So yeah, that's all the significant changes there. So if there's any questions regarding any of these, we'd be happy to assist with answering any questions there.
And Mr. Jones, if we could pause for one moment, Mr. Mayor, if I can just add on to some things Mr. Jones said.
Sure.
So as it relates to the buildings, we're keeping things flat, but we do anticipate that our energy use cost will decrease because, as Director Lewis shared with the council previously, we worked with Pepco and the police department building, the public works building, and town hall all have LED light fixtures now. So we feel okay keeping things flat because we expect our utility cost to go down. And just for clarity, when we say municipal town buildings auxiliary, Director Lewis, correct me if I'm wrong, that would be the former Boys and Girls Club and the train station.
That's correct.
All right, I just want to make sure we're being clear on that. And then, Mr. Mayor, if there's any questions for Director Lewis or any of us.
Any questions from council or the public?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilor Milligan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not so much about the buildings. From what I've seen, never had really an issue about how buildings are maintained. I too have a couple questions on some items we went through fairly well. We had explanations, and then I think we're all just somewhat a little bit of just wonderment about the announcement that we're looking at bringing in a project manager. And my question for staff, Mr. Mayor, is when I look at on page 187 of the book, and I'm looking at the staff head count, how we've gone from 2025 from 9 3/4 to FY26 was 9 1/4, and how we're looking now in 27 at 9 employees. Being with that, one of the understandings with the new project manager is really addressing the number and scope of projects and items that we're looking to take on. I was wondering if staff could elaborate on or bring up and discuss, because as we're seeing also an increase in contractual services. Is it the intent on staff to be looking at more contractual service down the road in order to be able to address the needs of the town in the future?
So thank you, Councilmember Langua, for that question. So over the last number of years, we've increased our contractual services in traditionally what we've called public works. there was a time when all the landscaping and that was done in-house. And we farmed that out, but we then grew by taking on Riverdale Park Station and increased expectations in that without increasing the staff headcount. And the significant change in contractual services here includes contracting out janitorial services for the police building and town hall. And I think that's consistent with what we've shared with the council in the past, so that the staff can be out there addressing more of the community needs. And we had worked to include janitorial services in the past, contracting that out. And we cut that in previous year. I think the last 2 years we may have ended up cutting that out to be able to close the gap as we prepare the proposed budget. But I do think there's opportunities for us to outsource additional work and as expectations change. It's not our intention, though, to outsource the department or to eliminate those 9 career positions that we have. That's not our intention, but to rather provide relief so that they can focus on really visible and impactful things in the community. So if there's behind the scenes things that can be done, including things like janitorial services here, we think that's a better use of our funds to contract that out. And I think what we budgeted for that, Director Lewis, is it about $17,000-$18,000?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
And that will free up our staff to be able to do more.
Thank you for that, and thank you for that wonderful segue, because as you said, having them out in the more out as opposed to being tied up. One of the things that I was looking at as part of this, and again, this is in the early part, and it's 186, and this goes to an item that my colleague from the Ward 4, Councilmember Warsnup, brought up regarding about trees, and what I'm seeing here for the FY 2026 estimate and the projected FY27. And I know this is something the Green Team and certain members thereof we're going to have a say about, being that they came and presented to us regarding that. We're looking at the number of trees going from trees planted from 87 to 30. Also looking at our tree maintenance budget on page 190, or the line item 5325, which has gone from FY25 from $20,000 now up to a budgeted expenditure of $125,000. One of the things and being that you had talked about contractual services and how this all ties together, I take it part of that line item is trying to work in some of what the Green Team has brought up about the tree canopy, as well as the overall approach that as much as the town can take in terms of increasing the tree canopy. And I was wondering if staff could delve into that a little bit more.
Yes, so I can speak to it high level, but I'm going to defer to Director Lewis. So Director Lewis, can you respond to the council member's question?
Well, recall that we have planted almost 90 trees within the last 12 to 16 months, and we still have a number of older trees that need to be pruned. We have trees that need to be removed. So at least part of that increase was to cover, make sure we have enough funds in the budget to cover those activities. We really haven't had a discussion about how those funds might be otherwise used on the Green Team's recommendations.
Okay. So essentially what you're saying is like we're looking at having a number of conversations in the future in terms of how, as a community, there can be an approach to increasing the canopy both in public spaces as well as on private properties, correct?
Right. The 15,000 is for new tree planting.
Okay, so
And we
really,
get calls for that for residents who actually want more trees in the public right of way.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So essentially, we're looking at a commitment on the town towards the tree canopy, be it maintenance or new plantings, of $140,000.
Right.
Okay. Next item, Mr. Mayor, if I may, and I'll try and be quick on this, and this might be something that we're going to be looking at in future work sessions, is section 17, weather response services. And bring this up being what we just went through this past winter, and with how we're all going, how everyone, and I mean everyone, is going through this new volatility in weather occurrences, being that there are just wide fluctuations. You really can't define an outlier now in terms of what weather will be based on previous records. As we've seen in previous years, we've had very little call for the use of salt or anything like that. And then all of a sudden we get a storm this past winter, which just really challenges us. Essentially, I know one of the things we had to deal with were essentially, some equipment breakdown, some of which was brand new equipment. And I'm just wondering, do we need to be looking at an approach? What type of approach do we need to be ready for? Do we need to essentially be ready for, not to be profane, but a cluster of a storm that we had this past time, and just be ready for storms like this that are just going to be really throwing dramatic elements in a very short time frame, so that we can deal with it effectively, and just always be ready for something like that as an approach, so that we can quickly and effectively deal with this without having to. I think we had to drop an additional 50, or how much was it?
I think it ended up being a total something in the 30s.
30,000.
Yes, sir. And I'll wait till you're finished and I can.
Well, no, that's what I mean. I mean, this storm was an additional 30, and I guess we could say we're fortunate that we only had the one, and we didn't get like a piggyback storm. This has been the first storm in a long while that we've had like this. But do we need to be ready for, say, what we had in, say, 2010, where there were back-to-back storms within a short period? It's a tough question, and I think one, we want to have maybe not, hope that what we have budgeted here is going to be sufficient for this coming fiscal year and this coming season. But do we need to think years out in how we're prepared to be able to deal with storms like this? Possibly not just winter, but I mean, we've been fortunate that we haven't had a substantial hurricane come through here. I don't know if anyone paid attention to some of the hurricanes that just missed us along the coast, and the size and magnitude that they were, which were, I mean, count our blessings that they didn't come in 200 miles more, because I mean, it would have made storms that we've had in the past, it would dwarf them, the ones that we've had in the past that have been considerable. So I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Mayor, can I respond?
Sure.
Councilmember Lingua, thank you for bringing this up and taking it beyond the snowstorms. And uh, so, in terms of how we've come up with this year's number, we actually had a lengthy discussion on that. Do we put more money there, or do we just maintain our contingency of $100,000? And so we put a little bit of more money there, but we're keeping the contingency. And so we feel as though that allows flexibility without a budget amendment. Simply coming to the council saying, hey, we need to tap into this, and we don't have to go through a legislative process. And so we feel comfortable with that. In terms of being prepared, Director Lewis also is making sure that we have plans in place where our contracted landscapers who also do snow removal, that they can assist, and we have them on standby. That's been part of our plan for a couple of years now. As well as in the CIP, you'll see that we're asking for funds to purchase another Bobcat. So that would give us 2 Bobcats. So if we get snowcrete again, because our plows could not, as you mentioned, we had some equipment go down. Our plows simply could not move it, and you needed basically small front end loaders. And so we have one, and this will give us our second. And then we still have our old tractor, which comes in handy. But the long range plan is that we should have 3 Bobcats. But we think it's prudent to go ahead and buy one this year. And then if we have funds available next year or the year after, go ahead and buy a third. And then we can lease them as well. It's just you have to get out in front of the storm, if you will, as soon as it's forecasted, because we managed to lease, I think it was 4 Bobcats. And then we also had extra Bobcats with operators that we found to come in and help. But everybody was trying to find folks with equipment, and so we want to have 3 long term, and we think that buying one in fiscal 27 is prudent in the event you get something like this again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Yes, you asked a couple of questions I was going to ask as well. Okay. Any other comments or questions on the public projects and services, Councilmember Worsnop?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a quick question. Under landscape services, we had discussed at some point looking at whether all of the areas that the town currently pays to be mowed had to continue being mowed. Is this where that would show up, and have staff looked at that yet?
So the short answer to that is it's top of mind. We haven't reduced the number. We understand the council's position that and the position of many in the community that we should reduce those things. The conversation that Director Lewis and I have had about this is, and we're not prepared to get into detail tonight, but one of the most obvious areas would be right here at Town Hall, and whether the area in front of the patio outside the council chambers, whether that could be a landscaped area that doesn't require mowing. Director Lewis, it's our staff that currently mow here at Town Hall.
Actually, it's our contractor.
Oh, it's a
currently.
contractor now. Okay. But that was the most visible spot that seemed to make sense to us. So we're working on a proposal to come and talk to you all about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. What else do we have next?
that's it from the staff team. We owe you all some corrections, some edits that didn't make it into the document for tonight, as well as amendments or edits to the layout of the CIP. We'll make those edits and get that online, and then we'll print an updated CIP section for your books. And then this is a large document, so if you all come across other things that it seems out of place, we do know we have some numbering issues in page numbers and that. We're aware of those. So we'll be working to correct all those things here in the next few days. And next week, we're looking at a special session to introduce a budget ordinance. And then the following week would be a public hearing on the tax rates. And then 2 weeks after that would be a special session for budget approval.
Councilmember?
Right, thanks. Just on that, on next steps, we'll at the last session, we had discussed getting some numbers on the existing grant programs in the Farmers Market Dollars program and potentially making an edit to I'm forgetting the actual name, the funds that are available to council to allocate to various community organizations. Will we have that information at the work session?
You will, and actually, Mr. Mayor, can we take a few minutes now to review a few things?
Sure.
So as it relates to the farmers market dollars, Mr. Shelton has prepared a document. We'll get that emailed out to the council. I just reviewed it a short time ago, and I think it provides a good synopsis of that program from when we stood it up in the fall, in end of November. And so we'll email that out to the whole council here. As it relates to addressing undesignated social concerns, we've had a healthy discussion on the staff side of the best way to propose a change that may meet what it is that you seek. And I'll turn that over to the deputy town manager who has those details.
Good evening. We discussed at the last budget public hearing an increase in the undesignated social concerns line item, and there were some overall concerns about making sure that these funds were expended. Staff would recommend that the funds potentially be designated for organizations within our community that already provide similar services. So this would be a similar approach to what we did several months ago. The organizations that the staff team would recommend would be Passion and Compassion Ministries, which addresses food insecurity, CASA, which assists with immigration related issues, Global Health Services, a nonprofit that provides diapers and baby food and things along those lines. And then Community Crisis Services, Inc., that provides a variety of very important programs to the community, including domestic violence related services and mental health related services related to suicide prevention. So that is just a recommendation that the staff team have to actually designate those funds, and that would go out potentially at the beginning of the year, the fiscal year, so July 1st. If the council would like to split those up between maybe July 1st and January 1st, we could do something along those lines. But that would be our recommendation, just to ensure that the money went directly to the organizations within the community that we know provide very important services to our residents.
And for clarity, that would be in lieu of increasing an undesignated amount. And so staff's recommendation is the undesignated amount remain at the 21,000 and some change. And so that's if something comes up throughout the year, but that these would be handled more as direct grants to area service providers. And we have a recommendation on an amount. I think we're a little north of 25,000. And we'll provide that to you at the work session in terms of where we think those dollars could go. And it would help us, Mr. Mayor, if we had a general consensus of the council whether or not our approach it is meeting the council's goals. And if it's not, then that gives us a few days to work on this.
Thank you. So to clarify, instead of increasing the undesignated funds and then deciding where to grant those funds, your staff suggestion is leave the amount as is, and then an additional, let's say $25,000 will be pulled from, I don't know if you said the source of it, but those new funds would go directly to a handful of those organizations, whatever a group that we choose to sort of provide that we know provide services within the town.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that's accurate. And Ms. Barnes and I still need to finalize with our finance team on the source of the funds, but we feel comfortable with about 25,000. And we think that this will help that the council and the community so that the funds we're deciding that the council's deciding ahead of time. Yes, this amount's going here, this amount's going there, instead of just having this pool of funds. And then you always have contingency if some major thing comes up during a year. But it does seem that it's difficult to get the full 21,000 expended. And we're thinking that by addressing it on the front end, that may help the entities and help the council.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Foe. Councilmember, you're on mute.
Mr. Mayor, I lost audio for a minute and I didn't hear.
It's all good. Do you want us to repeat essentially the idea?
No. I heard the idea. I raised my
okay.
hand. I wanted to comment on it. And
Sorry.
I didn't. Then for the last 20 seconds, it went dead. And I didn't know if you were speaking to me.
I am now. You have the
Okay.
floor.
No, I like this idea a lot. I like the idea of the dialogue about who we would disseminate the money to originally. And I also like the idea of having the additional monies afterwards. My biggest concern was that we've had years in the past where, it comes to the end of the fiscal year and we're dialoguing about what we want to do with this money. I think if we start this dialogue right now, we take the advice of staff, we maybe even add our own ideas, then we can generate the kind of giving that we'd like while simultaneously holding on to the power to give later in the year as well. So I do like this idea.
Thank you, Councilmember Worsnop.
Thanks. I agree. I like this idea. Three follow-ups. One, just to confirm, so the undesignated line will remain unchanged, and this would be an additional around 25,000 allocated to the set of organizations that you're suggesting. Okay.
Yes.
And then yes, good. Then second, did we also have unspent funds in the undesignated funds line for this fiscal year? And if so, can we agree to give that to an organization? And then third, for me, it would be also helpful if possible to see uptake information on the other grant programs that the town runs beyond the farmers market dollars program.
Got it. We talked about, so to the third point, I know we talked about the more umbrella term of when we say residential services or grants that were given out.
Direct assistance or something. Yeah,
direct
exactly.
assistance. Yeah, we'll market it and coin it, but an update on that. And then the second question was just around current undesignated funds. I know we have a budget is projected to spend those funds this year, but I guess, town manager, do you know if we have they fully been expended or what I know what, or what they're planned for being expended for this year?
Yes, so the current year, they have not been fully expended. I believe Mr. Jones answered a similar question last week.
Last time. Yeah.
Mr. Jones, do you have the number? And we're looking in the mayor and council, not grants overall, but specifically in the undesignated social concern line item. Can you tell us how much remains in that line item?
So we spent 3,000 thus far. Let me get the other
No,
side.
no, it's going to be more than that, Mr. Jones.
I'll have to take a look at that. I've got, yeah.
So we'll get back to the council with that on Monday. We'll add that to the work session. And what was your other question, Councilmember Worsnell?
I was asking if it would be possible to have information on the uptake of the other grant programs as well.
Yes, and we'll have that on the work session for next week as well.
Okay, and I think the mayor answered my first confirmation question, which was confirming the amounts, but I think I'm clear on that now. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? It'll be a good work session next week. I think there are a couple things here that will be helpful. I think the knowledge of, because to the untrained eye, they'll be the great, 25,000, that's good, but could we do more? And I think being able to say holistically, it's that this 25 plus all these other programs, and so having that sort of fully fleshed out will be helpful. And then two, the second part of it is if there are uh, funds dedicated to other grants that have not been used as much, then we can have a conversation on, well, is there another opportunity to reallocate, some of those funds for other community facing grants, so to speak. And then I think the other items that we've talked about today in terms of like, some of the cleanup will be good and helpful. And I'm sure we'll watch the recording and get whatever else we need for the work session next week and the special legislative. I'm assuming there's nothing else that's needed to add on to the special legislative since we're already having one.
And there was one other question last week from Councilmember Foe as it related to the COLA, and we've done an analysis and we'll present that as well.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's it. Oh, hands, thumbs. There we go. No last minute questions. Let's adjourn the meeting at 9:36. I appreciate everyone's time and effort into this. Great conversations all around, and see you all next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good
Thank
night.
you. Bye.
Have a nice night.